broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to TechTime with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week, show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host and technologist with over 30 years of technology expertise. Today we're airing an Unplugged episode. This is an episode without the crew. Odie, Mike, and Mark would all love to be here today, but they are at home. See, we are moving our studios to a new location, and with this break, we let everybody have a little bit of time off, and we did get everything working, so I decided to jump on in here and create an Unplugged episode. Next week, though, everybody will be back, the full crew, including our gadgets and gear gal, Gwen Way, so make sure you come back and enjoy the episode in its standard format. Now, of course, we're live streaming our show on 4 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch TV, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to visit us online at techtimeradio.com and become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/techtimeradio. This week's radio, we're going to be exploring some of the top stories, diving a bit more into this deep, big fake, which is known as DeepSeek from China, the new touted AI that runs on just 4 hamster wheels and a Pentium processor from the 90s. Now, honestly, we're going to look at the overhyped AI that has made the markets fall with nothing behind it other than smoke and mirrors. But that's not all. We're going to take a look at some chat records that were compromised, a look back at the birth of Facebook, and of course, you can't forget our ongoing concerns about data privacy and security. Now, of course, our standard features include Mike's mesmerizing moment. He's not here today, so we're going to kind of pass that over. We will do our technology fail of the week, and of course, a Nathan Nugget. And then we're going to also have our 2 truths and a lie. We're going to be reading some of the latest headlines and seeing if you can pick out which one is true and which one is false. This should be a great time. I haven't done this for over about a year and a half. We are really excited to have moved our studio into a new location. We've been working on bringing our show to you more than just weekly, so we're going to be doing a bunch of new stuff. We do have all the same cast of characters with Mike, Mark, and Odie, so I'll be excited about that. We're keeping everybody as we're moving on, and hopefully we got bigger and better things to do. But now, the most important stories, of course, have to be our top stories of the week.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right, our top tech stories start with story number 1. Is DeepSeek the holy grail of AI, or can China be the new leader in technology on the AI front? Well, we still go to our buddy Corinne Westland with more on this story.
DeepSeek challenged America's dominant position in AI last week, when news got out that a Chinese startup could match the best ChatGPT model by using software instead of the high-end hardware unavailable to AI firms in China. DeepSeek might have used ChatGPT content to train early versions of DeepSeek AI. But this doesn't change the novel approach that allowed it to do more with less, and to offer a potentially cheaper high-end AI to users. Back to you, Nathan.
All right, so does stealing OpenAI's 3.5 code really count as a new technology? DeepSeek R1 is now live in open source, rivaling OpenAI's Model O1, available on web app and API. Now, the problem is, though, if you're trying to sign up for DeepSeek, right now there's an error due to the large scale of malicious attacks on DeepSeek services, or can we say maybe those Pentium processors aren't running up to the speed that are actually capable of producing the AI? Right now, if you try to go online and you try to register, it'll say that you are not able to register or sign up. They'll come back to you with a thank you for your understanding and support, and they'll tell you to please wait and try again at a later time. Now, OpenAI claims it has evidence that the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek utilizes proprietary models to train their open source model, potentially breaching the company's terms of service. Now, it's interesting because we're going to see what happened here. Microsoft jumps in here, and there were some issues that were going on last year in around August, September timeframe, and it probably had to do specifically with DeepSeek. So we'll get more into that as we go and talk about this. Now, these findings revolve around the method known as distillation. So that's where developers leverage outputs from larger AI models to train smaller ones. Well, this practice is standard, and there's tons of AI development firms out there within the United States and across the globe. So this is not a America versus China issue here. But the problem arises when you extract it from the platform to develop your own model for your own use. Now, DeepSeek's R1 reasoning model has garnered significant attention in the tech sector for delivering comparable results to the top U.S. models at astonishingly low cost. Now, these are claimed low cost. We don't know if these are actually backed with any facts. And again, I'm not on a fact finding mission because I kind of do like some of the technology from China, specifically my favorite little app, TikTok. So it's not that I'm here to bash anything that's going on with China, but I do think when you start copying somebody, start doing it at low cost, this kind of reminds me of the high quality models versus maybe a product that you can find on Temu, which would be a little bit lesser of quality. So you have to actually take into effect what happens when people actually did this. Now, we're going to take a look here a little bit more as we go down here on just why OpenAI and companies like Google are also jumping into this to say that there's some significant issues with this low cost. Now, the company claims that it invested a merely $5.6 million in development, a small fraction compared to the typical expenditures of companies like OpenAI and Google. The app recently, and even Musk for thinking of this, if you take a look at all the time and effort he spent, probably just $5.6 million on the hardware from NVIDIA that he diverted from Tesla to go and actually be used for his Grok AI, which is kind of pretty junky to begin with. But this app kind of now has reached the top spot in the Apple App Store. DeepSeek's R1 is to be considered one of the trending apps. Now, not that we need to have all of the accusations be backed up, but our new White House AI czar, David Sachs, and he's an okay guy. So technology-wise, I think he's pretty firm on what he does. He was candidly stated saying that there's substantial evidence that what DeepSeek did is distill knowledge from OpenAI models, and I don't think OpenAI is very pleased about it. It was quote-unquote what he said on Fox News regarding OpenAI's accusation. Now, the ongoing controversy has already impacted the market, with NVIDIA experiencing a 17% drop shares last week. They reached a record $589 billion market value. Now, it's probably overrated, and investors are questioning the necessity of high-powered AI hardware investments when companies can achieve similar outcomes with fewer resources. I'd say that the fewer resources has not been substantially backed up yet to be a model that can actually be used and worked with. Now, OpenAI and Microsoft investigated and suspended accounts in August due to suspected terms of service violations, and now believe these accounts were connected to DeepSeek. However, both companies have refrained from disclosing specific details regarding their evidence. So they're kind of backing their evidence up, saying that there was some issues here that make sense to why they had to actually alter accounts that were using technology. Although the market faced a crash last Monday, we talked about, hardware will play a significant role in the ongoing U.S.-China AI conflict, and there will be increased focus on software optimization concept. DeepSeek's technology might not have a direct advantage for anybody else, but Apple could be partnering in on this, which is one of the few companies relatively untouched by the crash. I suspect that Apple could apply some of DeepSeek's ideas to enhance its AI models, aiming to improve Apple intelligence on the iPhone with iOS 19 and future updates. My point is not that Apple should embed DeepSeek into the iPhone, similar to how ChatGPT and other chatbot services are being integrated, but I think their approach to have some clear software processes in place could help actually Apple choosing to integrate with DeepSeek into some of its Apple devices in China. Now, Apple struggles in the China market, a crucial market where iPhone sales continue to decline. If they could actually jump into some of the DeepSeek AI into its iOS, I think it could actually probably leverage that to become a more dominant player in the China area. And it does seem that Apple Intelligence is impressed with the information that they have received from both ChatGPT and Gemini features from Google, and including on the Pixel and Android devices, that it's still looking to come up from its infancy stages to take a look at what can be happen with DeepSeek. So let's talk about what DeepSeek is. All right, DeepSeek is processes that have been talked about. We don't have all of the full information exactly what's going on because people haven't dived in and been there. They are getting tons of press release and information that has been passed out, and the app does seem to work pretty good. The problem is, though, it's nothing newer than what you would have gotten that I've seen on anything besides the AI models that OpenAI has for ChatGPT 3.5, which is a pretty outdated large language model. A large language model is the main data set that you use to have your AI create the responses and come up with its logic and algorithms to decipher what you're asking it to do. So as much as that may be great that DeepSeek took an older technology, an older large language model, was able to condense it into probably a much more profitable environment, is standard in almost every technology we have. Look at your telephones that we had back in the 80s and 90s. If you were around that time, those telephones had huge circuit boards, information in there, and that was just to press ones and zeros and nines and digit numbers to receive a code so you could actually transmit that information to connect with another connecting device to actually transfer a voice conversation. Now, what would you have today? A little microchip that sits in a phone, and my phone itself is a supercomputer compared to what we had just 10 years ago. It doesn't mean that I had to replace the technology with newer technology for the fact that it needed to be done. But what happens is as technology evolves, you can do faster and faster and quicker items without having to have that big circuitry that you had to have before. But that doesn't do anything on what happened on AT&T and Bell when they had to actually do the research into the technology of how to condense these items. So taking a software platform after someone has spent years and years developing a hardware platform to come up with what is available is kind of a normal process. So I don't know why people are going on this huge rampage for DeepSeek and that this is the next new app that's going to take over the world. It may be the next cheap app that you can get that's probably 5 or 6 years dated. Again, if you don't have a problem with outdated information or older information, then you know what? DeepSeek's going to be there for you at probably 1/8 of the price that you can pay for OpenAI or other devices. But for me and for hopefully my clientele, we're going to want to stick with something that we know is cutting edge. And for that, I am still a big component of OpenAI, and ChatGPT is my platform, including Microsoft Bing. All right, that's a little bit. Welcome to the kind of off the rails segments. We go a little bit longer on these technologies, probably get a little bit more deeper. So I apologize for any new listeners that may be listening to our Unplugged episode. This is what you get when you get once every 2 or 3 years an Unplugged episode. You get a lot more technology talk from Nathan. All right, let's go on to story number 2. Story number 2, Tesla is set to introduce a self-driving car service in Texas this June. According to Elon Musk, the rollout will initialize the Model Y and Model 3 vehicles, with the Cybercab expected to debut in 2027. All right, so we've been talking about Waymo. I'm sure everybody's seen the video for the Waymo that was out there, the car that kept on going around in circles and circles as the guy was trying to go to the airport and leave. Pretty sensational little video. The guy calls up customer services. I say, I need help. But Musk, you know, he's got to be in the news. If it's not today, it's got to be tomorrow. And if it's not tomorrow, it's the next day. So he decided that he's going to be rolling out, of course, his own Cybercab solution in 2027. Now, Musk indicated that by June, unsupervised Teslas, great, kind of like unsupervised kids, would be operating in Austin, although the deployment will be gradual. So everybody in Austin, when it comes July 4th, be careful out there because you can have all these unsupervised Teslas. Hopefully they don't run in circles and that everything is working well. But they're going to deployment will be gradual, he says. Last year, he had mentioned to investors a target launch in 2025 for the self-driving service in both California and Texas. And it appears that they're on track. During the fourth quarter earning calls, Musk confirmed that Austin would be the test market, with self-driving capabilities expected to launch as early as June of 2025. quote unquote, we're confident that we will begin unsupervised, fully autonomous driving in Austin in June, Musk stated. Our Fremont factory already has Teslas operating fully autonomously with no one inside, and we plan to implement that at our Texas facility soon. Tesla did not respond to questions or comments. Reports about Tesla collaborating with Austin for regulatory approval first emerged in December through emails obtained by Bloomberg, although that had not been finalized. Austin as the launch site at the time. So either Musk's got that taken care of, or he's kind of just hoping that that's going to happen soon. Musk shared limited specifics, but noted that there are thousands of cars, quote unquote, operating around the Fremont factory fully autonomous. Yeah, the company is ready to advance its unsupervised full self-driving technology to many U.S. regions by year-end, likely starting with California and Texas. Initially, they were expected for Cybercab to be used at that time, but it's going to have to wait until 2027. Tesla will rely on the Model Y and Model 3. In summary, 2025 is a critical year for Tesla, Musk remarked, calling it potential for the company's most significant year ever. Despite the ambitious plans, Musk emphasized the importance of a cautious approach to the rollout. We intend to start gradually, ensuring everything is safe for the general public and passengers first, he expressed. Now, Tesla's cautious stance comes from the light of challenges faced by self-driving taxi services recently. Through statistics indicated self-driving vehicles are generally safer than human-operated, there's still been some notable incidents. California halted Cruise's driverless cars in 2023 due to safety issues, and the Waymo faced scrutiny in 2024 with 2 autonomous cars collided with a tow truck twice in one day. Musk explained that Tesla's AI will operate differently than the most autonomous systems, but not rely on high-precision local maps. Instead, it will utilize AI to analyze surroundings and make real-time decisions. Austin will act as a testing ground to ensure the vehicles drive effectively before expanding to other regions, with a broader launch anticipated soon after Austin is going well. All right, so what does people think about that? So we got Elon Musk out here. He's he's really busy now working at the White House occasionally when he's allowed in there. And then all of a sudden now he's going to have his autonomous AI cars. Now, I got some hope for this. I think Austin is an interesting area to be used as a testing ground. I don't know if that would be my first choice for this, but what I do think that we'll be interested in is that I do think in the next 5 or 6 years, we are going to have a whole service slew of autonomous AI-driven cars. So when you need to go to that local airport, there's not going to be the Uber driver. It's going to be the Uber version 2, where you get picked up, someone comes on it there autonomously, you can throw your bags in there, and boom, you drive to the airport. I just don't know in my local traffic how well that will work. So that AI better be on top of things, because if you're not willing to take a little bit of a risk here on I-5 to get into Seattle past the SeaTac area to go on our major international airport, then you're going to be waiting for hours and hours and hours. All right, well, moving on. Let's take a look at story number 3. This is our last story. This comes to me with a little bit of a sigh and a little bit of grin at the same time. Mexico requests Google Maps to retain the name the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm sure everybody's heard by now that our new president has wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. But Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, has sent a letter to Google urging the company to reconsider its decision that it did to rename the Gulf of Mexico. In the first week in the office, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to mandate that the body of water bordering the U.S., Cuba, and Mexico be referred to now as the Gulf of America. The new name will only be visible to users in the U.S., so he actually got this changed. As a president, when you decide to create an executive order and name stuff, I guess if you're a software company in that country, you're probably going to want to do that also. Now, it will remain globally the Gulf of Mexico to maintain its historical name, which has been used for centuries. However, Mexico contends that the U.S. cannot legally alter the Gulf's name, since the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea stipulates that the country's sovereign territory extends only 12 nautical miles from its coastline. Google has yet to respond to requests for comments. On Monday, though, however, the company stated that we have a long-lasting practice of applying name changes when they're updated in official government sources. It has also revert Mount Denali to Mount McKinley in the U.S., adhering to another one of Trump's orders. When official names differ between countries, map users will see the respective local name that has been added. Claims the Gulf of America is being used by the staff within the White House. Trump issued the executive order to rename it from the Gulf of Mexico. And for the entire world, it's still known as the Gulf of Mexico. But if you're in the United States, you can now take a look at that on Google Maps. Now, Apple Maps and Bing Maps have not updated at this time. Well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. Moving on, we have 2 truths and a lie. You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. See you after this commercial break.
Looking for custom glass solutions for your next commercial project? Hartung Glass Industries is your trusted partner in custom glass fabrication. For over 100 years, Hartung has delivered proven manufacturing expertise, comprehensive product offerings, and dependable service and quality. From energy-efficient facades to custom shower doors, we create glass solutions tailored to your project needs. With 8 facilities across the U.S. and Canada, we combine national expertise with a local touch-ensuring faster service and unparalleled customer care. Hartung Glass Industries, where quality meets innovation. Visit hartungglass.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Our weekly show covers the top technology subjects without any political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, of course, with a little whiskey on our side. Today, Mark Gregoire, a whiskey connoisseur, is not here. So you know what? I am going to be sipping a little bit of Jack Daniels, just a standard Jack Daniels during the show itself, as a tradition that I started when I first did Tech Time Radio as my first whiskey selection. But he will be back next week, and I believe we were going to be doing our top 3 tastings that we've been starting for the beginning of the year. So we have a calendar area that we're going through. Each first week of the month, we take a look at some top whiskey. So make sure you would join us there. Now, as we return, I'm going to go through 3 stories. I'm going to read you the headlines and brief information of this, and 2 of these are going to be truthful, and 1 is going to be a lie. Do you know which one it is?
And now we have 2 truths and a lie.
All right. Our 2 truths and a lie. How we do this is normally we have 2 or 3 other people in the studio. I normally compete with Mike and Mark, and I kind of go through and I read them subjects that are very interesting in the top news technology, and they say if it's actually true or false, and they're trying to see how I read them and what am I stuttering on and what am I doing here and what am I doing there. But we're going to take a couple stories here. I'm going to give the headlines from them. You're going to kind of see if that's actually what's going on or is not going on, and we're going to have you actually play with it at home. Now, these are all being taken from top websites. So these are stories that are actually standard geek areas that are there. So number 1, we're going to be talking about story number 1 here. This can you see uncensored versions of DeepSeek through Perplexity? All right. So if you've been considering trying DeepSeek, the host's new AI app from China, but putting off concerns about privacy and censorship, you'll be interested to know there's a new tweaked version of DeepSeek R1 model available inside Perplexity. Perplexity is a long-giving user choice of in-house and third-party AIs for answering prompts. The DeepSeek R1 is the latest technology we talks about. Perplexity co-founder Arvind Servin has promised the censorship guardrails have been taken off. So yes, you can ask about Tiananmen Square and anything associated that you wanted within the United States or out. Now, DeepSeek has an option inside of Perplexity that can be used today. So is that a story that is true or false? Has somebody input DeepSeek AI into their app itself? All right. Okay, Microsoft 365 is raising prices and ditching its free VPN. Story number 2. All right, is this true or false? Paying more and getting seamlessly standard operating procedures these days. Certainly that's what Microsoft 365, the fancy name for Microsoft Office users, have been about to experience. This service includes VPN is being dropped as of February 28th. According to a support note on the Microsoft site, the company routinely evaluates the uses of effectiveness for their features and decided VPN is no longer a necessary part of the Microsoft 365 service. As VPNs go, it was only okay. The truth is Microsoft VPN came with 50 gigabyte monthly data limits, didn't allow you to trick your browser into thinking you were elsewhere in the world. So it was a free VPN that came with your service and is now going to be dropped. But if you want to continue with a 365 subscription price hike, you can pay $3 more per month, roughly a 43% increase, to get additional services that could still be used with any other VPN service. All right, and story number 3. Apple Music has an amazing deal for new users right now. There's a lot of music streaming services to choose from right now. Many of them subscribe to Spotify or Apple Music. Or myself, I use Amazon Music service. It's about $100 a year, but I find it to be pretty entertaining, as most of the songs and stations I want. But if you still are like others, you use YouTube Music, Amazon Music, or Tidal. Those are all pros and cons, but the price is the most important factor to you. It's a good time to check out Apple's offering. Apple Music usually costs $10.99 for individual users, $16.99 for family, and $5.99 for students. But you are now eligible for new subscribers only 6 months of Apple Music for $1.99. That's not $1. That's $1.99, less than a coffee. Just think of the total available for you. All right, so those are the 3 stories. So I got Apple Music, of course, only has a new subscriber deal for $1.99 as a story that was available there. We go back to the Microsoft 365 is raising its prices and ditching to its free VPN service. And story number 1 was regarding the integration of DeepSeek into a third-party app. So if you're playing at home and you guessed that number 1, DeepSeek is being pushed into a third-party app, that would be a truth. If you're looking for story number 2 was regarding Microsoft 365 raising its prices and ditching its free VPN. That is true also. And so story number 3, the Apple services that are going to be coming on out are going to be reduced for the first 6 months, but it's going to be at $2.99 instead of the $1.99 price tag I stated. And that's the way we play 2 truths and a lie. I appreciate you for playing that. We're going to head right out to our second commercial break. When we come on back, we're going to be talking about our This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as I'm going to be doing so during the break. We'll see you after this. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, so you know what? We need people to start liking our social media pages.
If you like our show, if you really like us, we could use your support on patreon.com.
Or is it Patreon? I think it's Patreon.
Okay, Patreon. If you really like us, you can.
And you say I'm the English guy?
Patreon.com.
I butcher the English language?
You know you butcher the English language.
Okay, so it's
all the time.
It's patreon.com.
Patreon.com. If you really like our show, you can subscribe to patreon.com and help us out.
Oh, and you can visit us on that Facebook platform. You know, the one that Zuckerberg owns?
The one that we always bag on?
Yeah, you can. We're on Facebook too.
Yeah, like us on Facebook.
Do you know what our Facebook page is?
TechTime Radio.
At TechTime Radio.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a trend here.
It seems to be that there's a trend, and that's TechTime Radio.
Or you can even Instagram with us.
And that's at TechTime Radio.
That's at TechTime Radio. Or you can find us on TikTok.
And it's TechTime Radio.
It's at TechTime Radio.
Like and subscribe to our social media.
Like us today. We need you to like us.
Like us and subscribe. That's it?
That's it. That's that simple. Welcome back to Tech Time with your host, Nathan Mumm. Hopefully you're enjoying this unique episode. This is our Unplugged series. So this is a little bit different. We don't have Mike, Odie, or Mark in the studio today. It's just myself talking on the microphone with a little bit of music here and there that will be added in, and we'll see how things go. Our regular scheduled programming will be back next week, so take a look at it. We will have Gadgets and Gear Gal, Gwen Way, on the show. Following that, we have Nick Espinoza coming on up, and we have tons of mystery guests that are going to be a part of our show also. So we're pretty excited about that. This show is being recorded just myself, old-fashioned, back where you have one mic and you kind of talk into it, and then you do a little bit of editing here and there afterwards. But we're excited to be talking about technology. I'm excited to be here, and we can't wait to have our new studio in place, ready to go. So now, you know what we're going to take a look at? We're going to take a look at This Week in Technology.
And now, let's look back at This Week in Technology.
All right, we're going into the Wayback Machine. We're going February 4th, 2024. Facebook is born. Mark Zuckerberg launches the Facebook, which later becomes Facebook. The world changes forever. The story of Facebook traces its transformation from a college networking platform to a worldwide social media giant. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder of Facebook, began this journey in his Harvard dorm room in November 2005. In 2003, while studying at Harvard University, he launched a website named FaceMash. The site was akin to Hot or Not, using images from online Facebooks and inviting users to select the hotter person. Although Zuckerberg faced expulsion for this project, the charge were ultimately dropped. A quote-unquote Facebook is a directory of students showcasing their photos and personal details. Now, in January of 2004, Zuckerberg created a new site called The Facebook, asserting the technology required to develop a centralized site that was readily available. The advantages were numerous. He partnered with a fellow student, Edward Severin, and they committed $1,000 each to the project. On February 4th, 2004, Zuckerberg officially launched, quote-unquote, the Facebook. At first, access was limited to Harvard College students. To support the site's expansion, though, Dustin Muskoff, Andrew McCollum, and Chris Hughes joined Zuckerberg. The platform eventually opened up to various universities across the U.S. and Canada. In 2004, Sean Parker, the co-founder of Napster, took on the role of the company president, and Facebook moved its headquarters to Palo Alto, California. In 2005, the company dropped the from the name, obtaining the domain name to facebook.com. Well, that was This Week in Technology. If you ever wanted to watch some Tech Time history with over 220 weekly broadcasts spanning our 4+ years of video, podcasts, and blog information, you can visit us at techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, though, we're going to have our Mark's Mumble Whiskey review, which is really going to be Nathan talking about his whiskey. We'll see you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for, Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
All right. Well, this is not Mark's Whiskey Mumble. This is Nathan talking about what he is drinking. He is drinking a simple Jack Daniel's, distilled from the Jack Daniel Company, from Tennessee whiskey, produced by the Jack Daniel Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee, which is owned by the Brown-Forman Corporation since 1956. Packaged in square bottles, Jack Daniel's Black Label Tennessee whiskey sold 12.9 million liters in 2017. Other brands variations such as Tennessee Honey, Tennessee Apple, Gentleman Jack, and Tennessee Fire are ready-to-drink products that also include more than 16.1 million in sales during that same time. Now, Jack Daniel's brand official website suggests that its founder, Jasper Newton Jack Daniel, was born in 1850. His tombstone bears that date, but it says the exact birth date is unknown. The company's website says that it's customary to celebrate his birthday in September. According to Tennessee State Library website in 2013, records list his birth date as September 5th, 1846. So, Jack Daniels, very traditional. You'll see this anywhere. Little Jack Daniels and Coke goes really well. Little Jack Daniels and lemonade goes really well. This was kind of the standard that I use. Produced now with the lower end green label at 80 proof is what I enjoy most of the time. But I do get the black label, which is 90 proof. So, you know what, whiskey connoisseurs that are listening to today's show, you're going to be very disappointed to know that Nathan, your radio host, enjoys just a simple Jack Daniels. All right. Well, you know what? Nothing like having a little whiskey pairing with technology, right? And we always make a comparison. So I'm going to compare this show to like puppets in the Muppet Show. You can't have the Muppet Show without Kermit the Frog or Fozzie Bear, some of the greatest puppets and puppeteers known for their technology. But now let's prepare for our technology fail of the week, brought to you by Elite Executive Services, technology experts to help you out of a technology fail.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure.
Oh. I failed, did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
All right, we're going to be talking our technology fail. Well, we're going right over to DeepSeek. This episode is DeepSeek centric. So DeepSeek exposes a database with over 1 million chat records. So this is what happens when you are a software company that is borrowing or stealing other people's information. When you go and steal it, you need to make sure on the open source that if you're going to use information, you secure it. But you know what? DeepSeek, the Chinese AI startup, may be really good for coming up with AI models, but their security systems are flawed. Now, the DeepSeek, the China AI startup known for DeepSeek R1 LLM model, has publicly exposed 2 databases containing sensitive user and operational information. The unsecured ClickHouse instance reported held over 1 million log entries containing user chat histories in plain text form, API keys, backend details, and operational metadata. Wiz Research discovered this exposure during the security assessment of DeepSeek's external infrastructure. The security firm found 2 publicly accessible database instances authorized to call back DeepSeek port 900 and DeepSeek port 900 for DeepSeek.com that allowed arbitrary SQL queries via the web interface without requiring authentication to go into their backend models. So if you're going to be using DeepSeek, the Chinese AI startup company, understand that anything that you may do chat-wise, any queries you may put in, all that information could be available for other hackers to take a look and see what your username, account, back information, details, API keys, and know everything you're searching on. Wouldn't that be great if OpenAI decided to release all of their search algorithms that people have put into their AI searches and decide to publicly expose those for each user's name and information? Probably not. That's why you should probably stick with an AI service that is in the United States. All right, we're going to head out to our last commercial break. When we return, we have a Nathan Nugget, and we're going to have our pick of the day, which you guys already heard about, so don't worry about that. But if you do have some whiskey or a pop or a soda or anything you'd like to raise a glass to, why don't you do that while you listen to this commercial break? We'll see you after this.
How to See a Man About a Dog. It combines darkly comic short stories, powerful poems, and pulp fiction prose to create a heartbreaking and hilarious journey readers will not soon forget. Read How to See a Man About a Dog, collected writings, for free with Kindle Unlimited. Ebook available on Kindle, print copies available on Amazon The Book Depository, and more.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm, the weekly hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm, and we are on the Nathan Mumm special episode We call this TechTime Radio Unplugged. It is just myself here. We're talking about different technologies. All my main staff have this week off, so hopefully they're enjoying the time off, and I'm enjoying a little bit of time putting the stories together. One of the big things that I really enjoy about doing the radio show is all the research and information that I get to do for the shows each week. So I love learning about new technology, and I used to do this many hours and many times across different platforms and different jobs that I've had within the United States. And what I really enjoy is spending the time to do the research of stories that break on headlines and actually see if that information is valid or if it's not valid, or what information is important for the industry, and then try to get some of those sub-stories that are a little bit smaller out there that people might not hear about, so we can talk about them instead of the attention-grabbing areas. We're going to do our Nathan Nugget here, and I'm going to be talking a little bit, kind of reminiscing about what we have coming up for this year's show, and a technology item here, and we're going to be doing a little bit of reminiscing about how the show gets made. So let's get ready for our Nathan Nugget.
This is your Nugget of the Week.
All right, this Nathan Nugget comes to us from the California Institute of Technology. Printable molecules, selective nanoparticles, enable mass production of wearable biosensors. So this is something that has come across just recently, and pretty interesting in what Caltech engineers have developed. They've developed a technique for inkjet printing arrays and special nanoparticles that enable a mass production of a long-lasting wearable sweat sensor. The sensors could be used to monitor a variety of biomarkers such as vitamins, hormones, medications in real time, providing patients and their physicians with the ability to continually flow through changes of levels of the molecules. Wearable biosensors that incorporate the new nanoparticles have been successfully used to monitor metabolite in patients suffering from long COVID, as the levels of the chemotherapy drugs in cancer patients at the City of Hope in California have also used the same technology. These are just two examples of what is possible, says Wige, the professor of medical engineering in the Andrew and Peggy Department of Medical Engineering at Caltech. There are many chronic conditions, and biomarkers and sensors now give us the possibility to monitor continuously and non-invasively the information. Importantly, in this new study is the research combines specially formatted polymers and nanoparticle cores made of nickel hydride, they can be iodized and reduced under applied electrical voltage in contact with human sweat. And the body then takes these fluids to come on out and give a NAIHCF core report on the vitamins themselves. So, great news is coming on out. Just think that in the future, you're going to be able to have printable nanoparticles enabled producting. So think of your HP printer being able to print out nanoparticles like ink, creating an inexpensive way to see how you're doing and to see what's going on. I can see athletes using this. I can see many other people using this, but some cool breaking technology news. So let's talk a little bit. We have some time here. I got about 10 minutes, and so we're going to wrap up the show here with kind of some thoughts of just what we're going to be looking for coming up this year on TechTime Radio, and some of the reasons on why we actually do TechTime itself. So this is a little bit of a Nathan Nugget and a little bit of kind of a intro into what we have going on over our 4+ years and what we're looking to do in the next 4+ years. So welcome, everybody. If this is your first show, this is going to be a unique show. So please either listen to the repeat from last week, our CES Best of the Best from CES and kind of the weirdest of the weird, or listen to our next week's show when we have Gwen Way on our standard show with gadgets and gear and everybody back in the studio. But I haven't had a time to really pause with the show. It's been going on for 4+ years and really kind of communicate and talk about why we created the show, what's behind the show, why we do the show itself. As we talked about a little bit before we got into the Nathan Nugget, This show is really based upon the research and technology of myself and what I would consider a Saturday morning sit down with a newspaper and coffee. I kind of like to sit down with an energy drink, a Rockstar or a Monster or something with a lot of caffeine. And then I'll do is I'll just kind of breeze through and take a look at technology articles from the BBC, from Wired Magazine, tons of different locations that I have. I have about 132 different little websites that I have taken off information from. And what I'll do is I'll just go through and I'll pick a subject for the day, or I'll just pick whatever trending topic is. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of go through that and I'll kind of do some research and do some deep diving. So just to take a look here at my link, I have the BBC News, CNET, Digital Trends, Engadget, Gizmodo, How to Geek, the latest from Tech Radar, Life Hacker, Mashable, the New York Times Technology, PC World, Slashdot, TechCrunch, The Next Web, The Verge, Wired, Yahoo Technology, and a bunch of other A&D Tech, a bunch of other technology folders that I subscribe to with articles that I go through and read pretty much on a weekly basis, normally on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. And what I'll do is when we decided to do the show is it was during COVID, and there was not a whole lot of social interaction that was going on. And so me and Mr. Gourdet, Mike Gourdet, decided to get together and kind of put together a show, and we talk about technology. And Mr. Gourdet at that time was a little bit more technology friendly. Now he's kind of anti-AI, as you guys will always hear. He's kind of our curmudgeon on the show itself, and he doesn't like this or doesn't like this type of deal. We started with an engineer at our radio station. His name was David, and David was a pretty funny guy. And didn't really know how technology worked very well, but he would try to run our board, and most of the time it would work, and every once in a while it wouldn't work. And we continued our show for quite a long time. We expanded TechTime Radio into a 2-hour show, which I'd really love to do again, but it's tough to get that much time in the recording studio with all of our staff. They all have very busy lives, and they're all busy doing different things, so it's tough to get that area. We expanded to a bunch of our satellite stations that you're probably listening to TechTime Radio now on, whether that's in the Bay Area, in Boston, in New York, in Florida. All of our substations, which were a great part of our family of our 35 million listeners. We thank them a lot for rebroadcasting our shows and putting it out there. And so we were having a great time. We expanded again to the 2-hour show. Then we decided to move to a new studio. We wanted to kind of move up from the studio that we were at into a new studio in downtown Seattle. And that's when Odie became our producer for our show and has been a part of our show since. Mark Gregoire and I go back a long time working at a company together. Not Microsoft, not Vulcan, but another company that I worked at. And so he was always kind of into whiskey and drinking, and I told him I'd created a show, and he said he should do one a little bit about whiskey. And I liked whiskey. He knew that. I liked whiskey enough. And I said, well, I just want to make sure I do something that doesn't run out. And let me just tell you, we've been doing this show for 4 years, and I think we're probably only a third of the way through all the whiskeys that we can get. I have new whiskeys that get sent to our show. I get new whiskeys that I pick up all the time, but I do enjoy the early days when I would actually go to a Wines and More or a whiskey store in our local area, and I go through and I pick out the cheapest whiskeys I can and see if any of them were any good. And so kind of been known as the cheap whiskey drinker because of that sense. Now we had Mark join as our whiskey connoisseur. He's a part of a bunch of whiskey clubs, and we enjoy him being here. He's also a technologist. As a side job. So all three of us put together most of the shows. Gwen Way, you'll see as our Gadgets and Gear gal next week on the show. She's a producer with their show too. Has been a part of our long-term show. And the idea was to create a show that did not come to you from the political right wing or the political left wing. did not put politics into most of the information that they have. If I report something that Biden did, or if I reported something that Trump did, it's just the information on the technology side of what's going on, so you're aware of that. We do have people, I believe, on our staff that are on both sides of who they would vote for, and so we try to keep this all very unpolitical, which does make our station a little bit, in our programming, a little bit more, what I would say, tougher to grasp into, because we're not polarizing on one side or polarizing on the other side. So we do appreciate kind of keeping it neutral and talking about how technology applies to our life and what is going on with technology. Well, our upcoming year, this year, we have a new studio. So we are going to be moving into producing a lot more content. We're going to be looking at producing content that will be a lot of offline, myself doing this in itself, and then there will be a lot of online stuff where there will be us doing our standard streams. We have moved into a newer studio that was all just rebuilt specifically for us to move into. Sound is fantastic. It's dead, so we can yell as much as we want, and we're not going to hear anything of what's going on. And what we plan to do is bring you continuing guests, continuing returning individuals such as Nick Espinoza and James Riddle, and hopefully we get Phil Hennessy back here on our show coming up here soon. And then we're going to bring in a bunch of new guests that will be talking about technology. We like that the new guests come. Some people really enjoy them. Sometimes not as much. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to work with, because when you have a new guest that's coming on in, they don't know our radio audience, and normally they're trying to push something or sell something. So we always want to talk with them about their technology versus what they're trying to sell. Upcoming, we're going to do a couple crazy episodes, I expect, for 4th of July. I do know that we're going to now have the opportunity to take the show a lot more on the road. So that's something that we're going to look to do. We've done one remote location one time, but I do think that we will be doing now more remote locations. I do think such events like CES next year for 2026, you probably do a live show from this down there in itself, or maybe 2 or 3 shows that we put in with people that will be coming on in and interviewing them for our show itself. And so there's a lot of great plans that we're planning to do. We're still planning on having some of the sense of humor. Some of the whiskey stuff is not going away, but we're trying to develop a more rounded show in itself that people can listen to. Now, I do appreciate feedback that we get. We get some feedback, not always positive and not always negative, kind of very neutral, but we'd love for you guys to go on and visit us at techtimeradio.com and click on the web page and go and decide to put a comment in one of our YouTube videos, or go and take a look at a comment between something else that we talked about. We do have a talk back on our techtimeradio.com site that we would love for people to go to also. So we'd love for you guys to go and visit that and ask us a question, and then we can actually do some of our technology expertise and trying to figure out what's going on. This is the weekend leading up to the Super Bowl. So as a Nathan Nugget, this is a time where I always talk about some of the best times to go and buy TVs. If you're looking at a consumer level right now, TVs, the newest TVs that were just presented at CES may still be coming on out, probably normally Q2 and Q3 of this year, but all of the current Christmas specials or the Christmas high-end items that are there are now all on sale. So you can buy $3,000-$4,000 televisions for the Super Bowl weekend that's coming on up, or I guess you're supposed to call it the Super Sunday. You're not supposed to say Super Bowl. But the Super Sunday show that's coming on up between Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see if the three-peat happens. But now is the time to go out and buy a TV. Go down to your big box store, find a TV that is there. Take a look at the items that are available there. Maybe go visit a electronics specialty store that's available. All of them are going to be having sales on. So this is the time, if you're looking to get that great deal, that you want to make sure you take a look at, because there's nothing better than that. Well, when you hear this, you know what that means. And we're getting close to the end of our show. It means I got a minute 26 to talk about what else we have coming on up. I appreciate you joining the Unplugged show. It was probably a little bit different. If you're first time listening to it, please do not judge us on this show. This show was done as a specialty show. This will not be what you normally get for our normal programming. But you know what? You'll be excited to see what we have next week with Mark, Mike, and Odie all back that are going to just be chomping at the bit. So we're about out of time. We want to thank our listeners for joining the program. Listeners who want to hear from you, again, go to techtimeradio.com and click on that Be a Caller or Ask a Question. On any technology item in our talkback recording system, try to find something that can stump me. Stump Mr. Gourdet or stump Mark. That would be fantastic. You can always stay connected by signing up for our newsletter and staying up to date on the latest technology trends. For all of us at TechTime, it was an honor to be on the show today. To host this, remember the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of the today. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, Mumm's the word.